steps the figure. No one really knows his name for sure. He stands at 6'6", head and shoulders. Pray he never comes knocking at your door. Say that you once bought a heart or new corneas, but somehow never managed to square away your debts. He won't bother to write or to phone you. He'll just rip the still beating heart from your chest!
11, 12.
Now you could run, you could hide, you could try to, but he always has a way of finding you. He will come at your weakest hour, when no one is around who might rescue you. And none of us are free from this horror. For many years ago, we all fell in debt. New body parts were needed to perfect our image. And until our debts are clear, we will live in fear of the...
Vermin! You want the world for nothing. Commence your groveling. Rotti, your king is dying. Even Rotti Largo cannot prevent this passing. Who will inherit Jinko or keep those vultures guessing?
Posted it to any and all groups that allow that kind of posting on Facebook.
I will keep those vultures guessing.
This will be quick. It's in my sight. I'll capture it. Then run back inside and be back home in time.
Industrialization has crippled the globe.
Enjoy Jinko's day and nighttime formulas on citrate.
Nature failed as technology spread.
Ask a Gintern if citrate is right for you.
And in this wake, a market erected.
Buying citrate from an unlicensed source is illegal.
An entire city built on top of the dead. And you can finance your bones and your kidneys. For every market, a sub-market grows. But best you be punctual with making your payments. Lest it be you on the concrete below. It's quick. It's clean.
You leave the coffee alone, child.
It's pure. It could change your life. Rest assured. It's the 21st century. Pure.
Leave your mother's Danish
And
alone.
it's my job to steal and rob. This way, kid.
Wait! You're gonna get us caught! Wait!
Jackpot. So why care for these petty obsessions? Your designer heart still beats with common blood. And what if you could have
5v5.
genetic perfection? Would you change who you are if you could? Because it's quick, it's clean, and it's pure.
No, I shouldn't be here.
It could change your life.
Hi, Terrance.
Rest assured.
I have got to get home.
It's the 21st century. Cure!
This cannot be happening.
And it's my job to steal and rob.
Just pop up in that fucking timeline. Should be mine. It's me.
A little glass vial?
A little glass vial.
That was a close one.
Oh, baby.
Too close.
Dad, what happened?
You're gonna be
Toward the chair,
alright.
baby.
That's all that matters.
Was I outside?
Shh, no shy.
There were these bodies.
You missed your medicine and fell unconscious.
They were all
Sonny's buying
dead.
Crunchyroll.
Nonsense. Please be more cautious. You could go into shock.
But it was real, Dad.
And the doctor. And I'm your father.
Didn't imagine
Please,
this.
Shiloh, drop it.
Couldn't have
That'll arrest me.
fathomed this.
Please, Shiloh, stop
Dad,
it.
I can smell
Let's just
the
hope they don't
death.
do
could've
what they did
you-
to X-Men.
You scare me to death.
I reiterate, there were worse fates. I could have been bought by Disney.
Yeah.
Passed from her and into your
Apparently it's going for
veins.
957 million.
I'd be lost if I were to lose you. I will stop at nothing to keep you safe.
I'll take my meds, Dad. Don't you worry.
Just until I find a cure. Your mother, rest her soul, would be so proud of you. Though you cannot see her, she is here with you. We will always be there for you in your time of need. Shiloh, you're the world to me.
I'm infected. I'm infected by your genetics. Shiloh, I'm the doctor. Shiloh, I'm your father. Oh, Shiloh, that was close. Take your medicine. I'm infected by your genetics. I'm infected by your genetics. And I don't think that I can be fixed. No, I don't think that I can be fixed. Tell me why, oh why are my genetics such a bitch? It's this blood condition. Damn this blood condition. Mother, can you hear me? Thanks for the disease. Now I am sequestered, part of the collection. That's what is expected when you are infected. fire slave. Oh, I want to go.
You think she was dying?
Outside.
Clearly. She might be.
Oh, I want to go outside.
Went to pet Mona. Obi jumped up on the bed with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, stop. He's not the one who that loved. Our whole cone is sticking in the water.
Mm-hmm. Obi, shut up!
He's not gonna. It's not her fault.
I know. That's why I said poor child. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
And it's a strangely nice morning, considering not, 3 days ago we had whiteout blizzards.
Yeah, right? It's like, it's like 50 degrees out right now.
It's 47 when I finished getting coffee and stuff.
That was close.
But it is Halloween almost. We are 1 day away from Halloween. Although, let's be honest, it's the month of Halloween. Anybody who knows us knows it's the month of Halloween. And please ignore the cat yowling in the background. We had to get one of our cats fixed, and he is complaining because they have to be separated. So if you hear meowing in the background, that's what's going on, and our soundproofing is not good enough to cut that out.
It's not. But there's also a kitty in this room because, again, we had to separate them, and this is the safest room for her.
Anyway, so with it being so close to Halloween, we decided... Okay, well, first I need to give you guys some backstory real quick. So, Repo the Zdunich Opera and The Devil's Carnival, both 1 and 2, Alleluia, have been some of my very favorite movies for years, and my wife had never seen them. Because they were...
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the soundtrack is everywhere on TikTok. Which is stupid, because people today don't understand the cinematographic majesty that is these movies. English is not my friend. I'm still on my first cup of coffee. But when we first started dating, I had told her about this, and initially it was, but it's super gory, and as much as I love horror, I can't do gore. So we just kind of pushed it to the back burner for a bit. And then recently, she watched one of the actual music videos. And the thing that started it was, well, it's a little gory, but it's more campy than anything. And all I could think was, yeah, no, it's the campiest fucking shit ever.
And I was just like, why didn't you tell me it was campy? I can do camp.
I told you it was campy.
No, you did not.
I told you like twice.
Not from the beginning.
Yes, I did. I said it's gory, but it's like
because
stupid
when we
gore.
rewatched it, you were like, oh yeah, it's campy.
Yes, but when I first tried to get you to watch it like a year and a half ago, I was like, yeah, no, it's super campy horror gore, kind of like Evil Dead.
And I had never seen The Evil Dead, so I can't say.
That's next on the docket, is Evil Dead, because it's the same level of gore as Repo. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Except there's like actual rubber face and shit. But anyway, so I was introduced to it by a friend who was like, hey, I noticed you really, really like Voltaire. Check this out. And I fell down the rabbit hole. I discovered Repo, I discovered The Devil's Carnival, and then when Devil's Carnival Alleluia came out, I was super excited. I wanted to go see the local showing they were doing, but at the time, I lived in Moriarty and I didn't have a car. But let's start with the movie that kicked it all off, that really got everything going, that gave us this amazing, gory, campy, goth opera. Repo the Zdunich Opera.
Didn't it come out in 2005?
2005 or 2008, one or the other.
I was doing research and I think I saw 2005.
It's 2008.
2008? I was close.
2005 is when they wrote the concept.
Right.
And then it just kind of sat there for a bit before they finally got the funding they needed.
Ow.
But, so Repo the Zdunich Opera is it's a goth opera. It's a goth rock opera. And if you haven't had the chance to check it out, it is free on Amazon Prime. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but seriously, go watch it. It's free right now.
So the screenplay was written by a man named Terrance Zdunich.
That's how you pronounce it?
I think. I think it's Polish. But it was actually it was based off of something Terrance had written called The Necro Merchant's Debt. And he wrote it way back in 96, way back.
A year before I was born.
Mm-hmm. And then it was performed on stage in 2002, and then it evolved into Repo the Zdunich Opera. It's the same storyline, just written better throughout the years, because the way Terrance put it was, your first piece, you always hate it. No matter how much you fix it, you always hate it. But it had us for being, and I will admit, it is a B movie. I believe it was Lionsgate. No, not Lionsgate. Twisted Pictures was the ones who put it out. It was a B movie. There's no two ways about that. It was bad.
But the good kind of bad.
But for being a B movie, it was surprisingly star-studded. Mm-hmm. The main character, Shiloh Wallace, who is a young woman who's 17, going on 18, thinks she knows everything, thinks she knows the way of the world. Your typical 17-year-old who's just like, God, I don't have to listen to you because you're my dad.
Yeah.
Who is suffering from what she's been told her entire life is a blood disease. And she has to take this medication that her father makes. She is played by, if you guys watched Spy Kids back in the day, one Alexa Vega. And talk about a glow-up.
That woman went from this dorky-ass little twing, like, scrawny-ass child to, not in this movie, but to The Devil's Carnival, a BDSM queen.
No, but she still had a hell of a glow-up in Repo.
Oh, yeah, no, she's gorgeous.
And she has a kid now.
She does?
Yeah, she has a kid now. Carmen from Spy Kids has a kid. So does Junie. Anyway, we're not talking about Spy Kids.
That one I knew.
But yeah, she plays the main protagonist. This girl who's trying to find her way in the world. Her mom died when she was very young from...
She died at birth.
No, she actually did not die at birth.
That's what I picked up.
No. She was taking these medications because she was always kind of anemic. And what her husband, Nathan Wallace, thought was that he gave her the wrong medications. Like, he thought he had mixed the wrong dosage or something, and she basically hemorrhaged to death. And because of that, Shiloh was born early. Well, Shiloh's spending this entire time, she's, sneaking off to her mother's grave in a world that, mind you, in this world, it's set, let me see, I have to actually see what year.
2056.
It's set 26 years from now. No, 36 years from now. People's organs have started failing. Nobody knows what's going on. There was just a pandemic of organ failures across the globe. And surprise, this company shows up that can do organ transplants that will,
artificial organs.
Basically, yeah, they're 3D printing organs, basically.
But correctly.
Mm-hmm. But the problem is that organ transplants are expensive. Not even accounting for the fact that there's probably inflation and everything between now and 2056, there's a very, very good chance that you couldn't pay your payments. But what are you going to do? Take out the organ?
Yeah.
Well, it took them years to do it in the series, obviously. But Rotti Largo, the head of GeneCo, which is the company that puts out these organs, finally got passed through whatever their version of Congress is, organ repossessions. If you missed one payment, you would be visited by one of the many, many Repo men, who they have many nicknames. Repo men, the Death Debt, I think, is one of them. But the big one...
I think a Reaper was one of them.
The Reaper is definitely one of them. But the big one is Night Surgeon. Because usually they come when you're, alone in a dark alley. And if somebody sees it, they just walk away because they didn't see shit. So
Because
organ.
it's not illegal.
Mm,
It's just like, oh shit, okay.
no, it's legal, and they're just like, I don't want to be next.
Yep, they're like,
I
oh,
have to
shit.
pay that thing in a week. I don't want to think about it.
Yep.
But it went from life-saving organ transplants to being a fashion fad.
As you know, a lot of things actually sadly do.
Oh yeah, no, like, they actually make it a point that Gene Co goes from just life-saving organs to, oh, you want a liver that's not going to fail if you drink too much? Or, oh, do you want a heart that's not going to explode if you eat all the cholesterol? Basically, they were enabling the worst habits and profiting off of it.
You don't like the way you look? We can change that.
Exactly. All thanks to a wonderful miracle drug called Zydrate.
Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass vial?
A little glass vial!
But, unfortunately, much like most pain medications used in surgical situations, it is extremely addictive. The way they actually described it, because I went back and did some reading since we rewatched it, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to dive into this a little bit further. I'm just going to slide in here and see what's going on, and God, did I find some fun stuff. There's entire, like, encyclopedias written on fan-written lore. I was up to, like, 5 a.m. reading it. Don't judge me.
Why would I judge you?
But, because of Zydrate, there obviously became an addiction problem. Fun thing is, though, is that Zydrate doesn't digest through your body like a regular painkiller, like morphine or anything else. It stays in your body. And where there is demand, there is supply. These wonderful people called grave robbers started showing up and started literally harvesting Zydrate out of the corpses. And it got to a point where there were so many corpses from all these repossessions that they stopped burying them in graveyards unless they were, like, super high status or you worked for Gene Co. You basically, if you died because you got your organs repossessed, you were thrown into an underground pit of thousands upon thousands.
It's basically a crypt.
Yeah, it's a crypt without the formality.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a garbage dump. Like, there's actual garbage trucks where they go and they pick up corpses that the Repo men have left. Which is both awesome and terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so grave robbers are illegal.
The screen.
I forgot to change it, my bad. Anyway. Sorry about that, folks. I didn't realize my screen hadn't changed over when I double-clicked it. Anyway. So, Zydrate is this highly addictive drug that you can harvest from corpses. There's probably nothing wrong with, taking medication that you pulled out of a corpse, right?
Probably.
Who cares?
It's like, people's gotta survive.
Mm-hmm. So these grave robbers have become the new world drug dealers. There's no more crack, there's no more cocaine, there's no more meth or anything like that. The only drug that anybody wants is Zydrate. And their grave robber, the main one in the series, is played by the actual writer, Terrance Zdunich. He is a 6'5", beautiful man with hair down to his knees.
But my coworker and I lovingly refer to him as Goth Jesus.
He's Goth Jesus. Goth Jesus has come. I have a fun story to tell you about him later.
But, yeah.
So this grave robber shows up. Shiloh has snuck out of her house because, she's super sick. She has basically the equivalent of an autoimmune disease. She's not supposed to leave the house. Snuck into her mother's crypt because her mother has her own special crypt because some stuff we'll go into here in a minute. And she starts chasing this little mechanical bug that looks like it has Zydrate in it. She collects insects, but because, the world has gone to shit and it's all gross and everything now.
She can't tell if it's real or not.
She probably doesn't know what a real insect looks like.
Probably not.
That's probably the closest thing to a real insect she's ever going to see. So she sneaks outside, and all of a sudden there's this guy huddled over a corpse in a coffin. And he starts singing about, industrialization has crippled the globe and all this stuff, and she's trying to sneak back inside because helicopters are circling, there's people, doing patrols, because grave robbing is highly illegal now because it takes away from the corporate's drugs, and on top of that, you're injecting dead people drugs into living people.
Dead people, too.
All tea is dead people tea. Little shout out to Crit Roll there.
Like, that's it's not exactly wrong. Like, it's pretty much the same concept.
It is. Regular drugs, dead people drugs, it's the same drug. Just one might give you a slight case of necrosis. So he's sitting there, he pulls this corpse out, he pulls the Zydrate out. Mind you, it's a gun that looks like...
It looks kind of like a modified hot glue gun.
It's a modified hot glue gun, basically, but it looks more like a giant, like, 6-inch long hypodermic needle attached to the end of a hot glue gun. And granted, they did have a very low budget, so I'm not judging them at all.
Oh, no, like...
As somebody who does budget cosplay, I applaud them.
Oh, that movie was done beautifully.
And he's sitting there, he pulls it out, he holds up this vial of Zydrate and decides, you know what? I'm gonna start screaming this metal scream in the middle of the cemetery with people looking for grave robbers. Gives this poor girl a heart attack.
Also, the fact that he looks surprised. It's like, oh shit, they're after me now?
Yeah, no, he gives this huge metal-style scream.
It's beautiful, first
That
of
is
all.
phenomenally done. You can tell that man's diaphragm is beautiful. Sorry, musical theater kid nerd here.
Why do you think I was fanning over
But all of a sudden, spotlights, and he's just like, wait, what? They saw me?
It's kind of cute, actually.
It is. And so he grabs the dead body he was just harvesting drugs from, breaks through a wall with it, and surprise, there is this giant crypt of dumpster bodies, basically.
Yep. And he's just like, oh shit!
He's having a field day. She gets snatched up by the police. This strange, tall man in a black rubber outfit with a glowing visor shows up. And she faints and wakes up in her room. It's all a dream.
Nothing happened.
Nothing bad happened ever.
Yep.
And enter her dad, Nathan Wallace, who is a doctor with Gene Co. with a very dark secret.
Everybody knows where this was going.
Yeah. So also, if you wanted spoilers, if you didn't want spoilers, this is not the podcast to watch. This is
Go watch Repo.
Yeah, go watch Repo before you watch this. This will be up on YouTube if you don't want spoilers. Anyway, so enter Nathan Wallace, who is played by, if anybody's a Buffy fan, you know him as Giles, the librarian, basically, one Anthony Stewart Head.
Yeah, no, it's like, when we were watching it, I was like, oh shit, hi Giles!
Yeah, no, I just sat there smiling the entire time, because just like, I will fully admit, he has aged beautifully, and he is still gorgeous.
Yeah, because, like, I knew it was Alexa Vega.
Oh yeah, no, you can't look at her and not know.
Yeah.
But no, Anthony Stewart Head, he has aged phenomenally. But anyway, he plays one of Gene Co.'s doctors. And his super dark secret is he is a repo man. But his daughter doesn't know. All she knows is that he works for Gene Co. as a doctor. She doesn't know that there's a murder basement under the house.
What's that?
There's totally not an entryway hidden behind the fireplace.
Totally not.
Yeah, so that's a thing. He starts lecturing her, they get into a fight, and he reveals, no, it wasn't all a dream, you actually were outside, and how dare you go outside? How dare you want to go outside and be a normal child?
Even though she's technically not even a child.
She's not anymore, but, like, her entire life, she's been stuck in her room. And, to be fair, I'd want to leave too.
Yeah.
So she goes to sleep because, you know, she missed her medication and she was outside, so she needs to take extra medication. And he slips out, closes the door, and has this whole moment where he has this full-on downward spiral.
He monologues.
He monologues about how his wife, Marnie, died, which she was beautiful, by the way. How it's his fault, how Shiloh will never know her mother because of him. He basically goes down the... I hate to use this trope, but the oh, woe is me trope of musical theater.
Yep.
And about halfway through, I'd say, he slips into his little cave behind the fireplace, goes into his murder basement. There's some poor schmuck tied to what looks like an operating table that's upright. And he basically turns around, he goes from the sweet loving doctor father to, I'm going to stab you and take out your kidneys.
Wait, which...
What was the organ that he took?
I don't know, because the spine was later.
The spine was when
it was a heart.
You're right, it was his heart. So fast forward to Rati Largo. Or as...
One of the things that fascinates me about Repo is this, all of this happens in one night.
Yeah, mind you, this entire plot line happens in one evening. So, fast forward to Roddy Largo. He has a huge hand to play in all of this. Why is that? Because he owns Gene Co. And he mentions it every time he's on screen.
He owns everybody's lives.
He is actually played by one of my all-time favorite actors, Paul Sorvino. I have loved him ever since I saw him in Goodfellas. But he was actually classically trained as an opera singer. I believe he was a tenor?
Something along those lines.
He was either a tenor or one step below.
Not quite a bass.
So, his story actually ties in with Nathan's story, not just because he's his boss. Nathan's dead wife used to date Roddy. They were a thing. He absolutely loved her. He wanted to give her the world. And then she met Nathan. And she was just like, I love you, Roddy, but, how you doing, Giles?
To be fair, it's Giles.
It is. It's Anthony Stewart Head. He's fucking gorgeous. And his singing voice is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I still, as much as people don't like to admit it, I still remember the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical episode.
I want to say it didn't exist.
But it's one of Joss Whedon's best writing. Anyway. So, excuse the rustling, my wife is eating her breakfast.
Before I fell out of this chair.
So, Roddy got angry. He was, get this. He was Nathan's best man at the wedding. He was the best man to the man who stole his girlfriend. And
honestly, if he wanted to, he could have killed him right there.
He could have, but he didn't want to upset her. But as time went on and he found out that Marnie was pregnant, he decided, that's it, I quit. I'm going to make Nathan suffer. I'm going to put him in my pocket so he can never leave. And he actually had one of his nurses switch out Marnie's medication with a deadly poison. Problem is it looked identical to the medication, so he couldn't tell the difference. Marnie bled out. They had to do an emergency C-section. Shiloh lived, and yeah, Roddy got his revenge and basically tricked Nathan into thinking that he had actually poisoned his wife. And basically said, if you come be one of my repo men, I won't tell anybody about this. We'll sweep it under the rug. It'll be fine. Accidents happen, right?
It's like, you're a doctor.
You're a doctor. Accidents happen. That's pretty much how that goes down. But Roddy's also got this wonderful condition known as, I'm dying. The man who saved the globe cannot save himself. Because he actually has a cancer basically from head to toe. They would have to replace everything. And
Isn't
even
it in the blood?
It was in the blood, it was in his bones, in his organs. They didn't, despite being able to do all these amazing things with science, they did not have a way to save him. And then he looks at who's going to inherit his fortune. His eldest son, Luigi, who is played by Bill Moseley, which, if you haven't seen House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects, he plays one of the family members in that. He's an amazing actor when it comes to horror.
Oh, even in this movie, they were phenomenal.
Oh, they were, but I know you're not a huge fan of Rob Zombie movies.
Unfortunately, no. That's a little too far for me.
Whereas I watch them like they're kids' movies, but that's just me.
Which is funny, because I can play games like Resident Evil, and there's gore everywhere, but...
But it's kind of... It's CGI'd enough that you can't tell, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't look as realistic.
Like, I can watch the Resident Evil movies, the animated ones.
Well, and even the live-action ones are really campy, though. Like, you can see where they used melted bubblegum and stuff like that. But anyway, there's Luigi, who has an explosive temper, and has been caught killing people left and right.
Just 'cause.
There's his youngest son, Javi Largo, who speaks with a really, really bad Italian accent to hide a stutter that he had as a kid. And he steals people's faces. Literally, he will go out in the middle of the night and cut faces off, because he has this wonderful thing where he has these clips on the side of his face where he can switch out faces. They don't explain why. They never tell you why he started wearing people's faces.
Especially since, like, you can get that changed.
You can. It's one of the many things that GeneCo offers. It just means that you'll be in debt for a while. Again. But he's played by a man named Ogre, who's actually associated with KMFDM. KMFDM is a industrial band that was super huge in the 90s. But he's also associated with Skinny Puppy. And then there is Amber Sweet, played by one Paris Hilton. Her whole thing is that she wants to be the next big opera star. She wants to be the next big thing. Changed her name from Largo to Sweet. She actually changed her last name completely, and all she basically said was, I need a stage name. If you don't like it, well, screw you.
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't want to be associated with him either.
No, but at the same time, look at how she disrespects him. Mm-hmm. Like, even though Roddy is a piece of shit, he doesn't deserve that from his daughter. But her whole thing is that she wants to be just like Blind Mag, who is the spokesperson for GeneCo. Blind Mag is played by renowned opera star Sarah Brightman.
She's gorgeous.
Who, if you don't know Sarah Brightman, then go look it up on YouTube right now. She played Christine in Phantom of the Opera. She has an incredible singing voice. Like, the biggest role that she is known for is Christine.
I forgot she did that.
Yeah, she wasn't in the movie version. She was in the stage version. It was she actually played Christine opposite, I believe, Antonio Banderas as the Phantom.
Let me double check.
I know they did the Phantom of the Opera title song together. I don't know if he actually did it on Broadway, but I know that he really wanted to. But her whole thing is that she's a Zydrate addict. Surprise, surprise. And she keeps slipping off into the city to go find her grave robber, Terrance Zdunich, to go get a hit. And it gets to the point where the grave robber gets a little tired of her shit. Just a little.
He literally just goes, no.
Yeah, no, so yeah, these three children.
Sarah Brightman.
Mm-hmm.
But,
But Luigi, Pavi, and Amber are the heirs to GeneCo. I don't blame Roddy for what he did next, because I wouldn't want them to inherit my company either. He goes out and he seeks out one Shiloh Wallace. And, quote-unquote, rescues her from the graveyard. He kidnaps her. He fucking kidnaps her. Throws her in the limo, and they sit there and have a talk, and he's just like, I knew your mother. Your mother was a very dear friend of mine. Didn't tell her that he used to bone her mother, because that's just weird. But yeah, no, he basically plays had your mother not left me, you'd be my kid. Towards the end of it.
He implied it.
He implied it at first. Later on, he actually flat out says, had your mother not left me for your piece of shit father, you'd be my kid. But he decides to take her to this carnival that GeneCo holds every year, where they show off the latest, the greatest. It's the equivalent of the World's Fair.
Yeah.
You know, they show off one of these years will go. But they show off, you know, the latest implants, the latest organs, the latest changes. Basically, anything and everything having to do with GeneCo. They're just like, hey, come look at the new things we're doing. And Shiloh's like, can I go home? Please take me home. I want to go home. And then he plays the Don't You Want to Meet Blind Mag? And suddenly that teenage interest is just like, well, I mean, yes, but I'm not supposed to be outside. So they show up at the carnival, and Luigi, Pavi, and Amber are having a fight. Luigi stabbed a guy for getting him bad coffee. Blind Mag showed up, yelled at him. Amber started screaming at her, going, hey, let me take over. I'm the main chick now. I'm gonna own this company. I need to be the fucking center head. And Pavi's just like, guys, come on. We're just here to have fun. Mainly because his blowjob got interrupted. Literally. It's no secret that the Genterns, the nurses for GeneCo, will do anything for their clients. And I mean anything. They have no qualms about showing that shit off. Not graphically, but it's very, very heavily implied. So, Roddy shows up, tells him, go to your fucking room. Get out of here. I'm done. Go.
Shoot.
Blind Mag sees Shiloh. Shock and awe. Shiloh's just like, oh my god, it's my queen, it's my idol. And Roddy's just like, oh hey, remember Marnie? Here's her child.
She actually looks at him like, you son of a bitch.
Well, Blind Mag was told that Shiloh died.
Yeah, I know.
And it's more of a look of, wait, she didn't die?
Mm-hmm.
And flashback time, get the wonderful waves going on there.
I also love the. I'm going to go off on a little tiny tangent.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way that those flashbacks are done. With the comic.
Mm-hmm.
That is very well done.
Yeah, so their flashbacks are done comic book style. Like, it looks like a comic book page, and it's really cool. So, brief flashback. Turns out that Marnie and Mag have been friends for years, and Mag was actually blind. And so Marnie begged Roddy over and over, she kept saying, Mag's a wonderful singer, she can pay off the, just please help her out. So she got the surgery done, got her eyes replaced, and she looked, and her contract was actually signed in blood.
Some mighty fine print.
Some mighty fine print. Some mighty fine print. So, basically, until the day that she dies, Mag is property of Jinko, and she's trying to leave. She wants to retire. She wants to leave the city because there's too many painful memories for her.
Which, I don't blame her.
But at the same time, she knows that she can't. Because as soon as she tries to leave and breaks her contract, here come the Repo Men. It's beautiful and tragic at the same time.
It's an opera. Nothing is...
It's an opera. Everybody dies.
That's the bottom line.
Every opera, everyone dies.
Because, if you go to an opera, don't expect there to be a happy ending. That's literally all it is.
Yeah, no, I cannot think of a single opera that had a happy ending. If there is one, please correct me.
I mean, there's opera singing in musicals that have happy endings, but that's not an opera.
I'm talking full-blown opera.
That's what I said, but that's not an opera.
Excuse me. Allergies.
Technically, Les Mis is an opera.
That's not a happy ending.
No, it's not. I just like that crossed my mind.
Les Mis is an opera, but even though he gets the girl and everything, there is no happy ending. Because everybody died.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's like, at the end of it, the day, it's still not a happy ending.
Yeah. So.
But the French Revolution was not happy.
Yeah, no. Anyway. So, they do a press conference. Blind Mag basically says, this is my last night here, I'm gonna go, I have to go travel, I have to go find myself. And Rati, there's actually a line in the song that says, technically you belong to Jinko. And for a brief second, you can see the realization in Blind Mag's eyes of, so that's how it's gotta be. And then he laughs and goes, of course I joke. You're free to go.
What happens after that is not my problem, basically.
Yeah. And then Shiloh gets ushered away through the crowd, shoved in a tent and told, sit.
Stay.
She forgot her medication. Her medication reminder goes off. Her dad is off on a job because Roddy needed him out of the house. He needed him to not be there. Because, what would happen if Nathan found out that Roddy had taken his kid? And he calls his daughter.
It's like, hey, it's going off. Are you okay?
I'm fine. The window's cracked. Why don't you have your mask on? Well, I'm getting it now. They have this borderline argument where it's like, he's freaking out because he can't be there to check on her medication or anything. And then she hears somebody screaming in the background. He has somebody tied up by their feet like a piñata, and he's cutting out their spine. And she's just like, what's going on? It's a patient. He's not doing well. He's probably terminal. He's not going to make it. Do I need to come home early? No. Stay there and take care of your patient. You do what you got to do. You need to make sure he at least is comfortable when he dies.
I'm fine.
I'll see you when you get home. And then hangs up, and she's just like, how am I going to find my fucking way home? I don't know where I am. And
she hears that.
Yep. tent rips, and there's this head that pops in. Hello, grave robber. How are you?
My reaction was, oh, hi, Terrance.
No, your exact response was, oh, hey.
Yeah, pretty much, but it was...
Oh, yeah, no, but I'm just saying, your exact response was, oh, hey.
To be fair, he's really pretty.
He is. So, she's just like, I need to go home. Can you please help me? I'm scared. I'm lost, and I want to go home. And he's just like, you know what? I'll help you, kid. Steals some Zydrate, tolls it around a table, and goes, let's go.
What did you? Let's go. Don't worry
Just
about
go.
it. Just don't worry about it.
Don't question it.
Yep.
Sorry, I quote Thomas Sanders a lot.
Same.
So yeah, so that shit happens.
He does get her somewhere safe.
This is like the first half of the movie, by the way. This is just the first half. So, he stops them outside of a sign that says Zydrate Addicts Anonymous. Bet you can tell where this is going.
Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass
A
vial?
little glass vial!
So, shit goes down. He starts handing out drugs, singing about how, you know, Jinko has made the perfect environment for drug dealers and shit. Enter Amber Sweet.
Again, oh, hi, Paris Hilton.
She's going on about how you need to give me the Z. I own you, basically. Blah, blah.
And he's just like, oh, fine, you're paying me here.
Grave Robber whistles one of Blind Mag's songs. Shiloh comments, hey, that's Blind Mag's song. Paris goes off her... Or Amber, sorry. Amber goes off her fucking shit. Who did that? So you think I got a heart, you think I got balls, so you think Mag can sing? I don't think anything at all. I'm not paid enough to think. Poor Shiloh is sitting here like, I don't think anything. Please don't hurt me. And Amber goes on. Amber goes on and pulls out a magazine that has an article about how a repo man is going to come take Mag's eyes because she canceled her contract. She freaks out. They vamoose because, you know, all of a sudden, oh shit, Amber Sweet's out in public alone. We need to go find her. She gets home, runs upstairs, dives into bed, hides under the covers, and pretends to be asleep. Nathan shows up seconds before she closed that door, and is just like, are you awake? No, okay, I'm gonna let you sleep. She wakes up and starts reading the article. Because what else do you do? And Nathan gets a call from his boss going, can you deliver the part you just repossessed? They show up and Luigi, I shit you not, gets up, pulls out his knife and is like, who ordered pizza? I could sure go for a slice. They start crowding him and Roddy's just like, we need to talk. I have one more case that you need to repossess. Remember your wife's best friend of years and years and years? Well, she canceled her contract with us. And Nathan's going on about how I can't do that. I will not do that to Marty's friend.
See, he actually says, get someone else to do it.
Yeah, so there's this whole scene where they have this poor fuck tied up on a chair. Again, probably missed a payment because everybody misses payments.
Probably expensive.
Oh yeah, no. Like,
I would just be like, just kill me. Just.
It's terminal.
Just pull it. Just do it. Like
give me a Zydrate overdose. At least I'll die happy. So he basically destroys this poor guy, stabbing him, cutting him, singing about how he's the night surgeon, and then he's like, I will not take this job, find someone else, and leaves. And Roddy basically says, if you won't do it, I'll make you do it. Back to the house. Shiloh's sitting there doing her thing. There's somebody ringing the doorbell at the gate. She looks and it's Blind Mag. What? Why is Blind Mag at my house? What is this bullshit? And they have a very heart-to-heart moment where it turns into, I'm supposed to be your godmother. I know that you probably can't leave the house or anything, but I want to be there for you. I want to help you. I want to get to know you. Nathan shows up.
Shit.
And she plays the, why didn't you tell me my goddaughter was alive? I don't know what you're talking about. She's alive.
She's right there.
Yeah. And he basically throws her out, saying, don't come back. Shiloh shows up and is like, no, we have to help her. She's gonna die. You know, this repo guy is gonna come and she is going to die. And he's like, how do you know about that? How do you know about any of this? She holds up the magazine. They have a whole-on fight. She sings a song about how she's 17 and she doesn't need anybody. She doesn't need authority or anything.
That she knows better.
And for the first time in her life, Nathan slaps her.
To be fair,
She had it coming.
She kind of deserved it.
Oh, by the way, the guitar in that was done by Joan Jett, who actually shows up in the movie. It's beautiful. So that goes down. And then we have to have our climax of the movie, right? Insert a song that is actually one of my absolute favorites called At the Opera Tonight. And it's literally everybody getting ready for the opera that night. That's part of the whole carnival, the whole celebration, the whole shebang. It's also Mag's goodbye show.
Yeah, everybody wants to go see that.
So Shiloh sneaks out. Roddy literally stole her mother's opera dress and put it in a box for her. Nathan finds out just as the limo's pulling away with Shiloh in it that she left. And he obviously cracks. Shiloh's whole thing is, no matter what happens, I have to go. Roddy has my cure. He has the cure for my blood disease. Because Jinko has the cure for everything. Nathan basically states that Roddy's gonna pay. I have to save Shiloh. Fuck what happens. As long as Shiloh's okay, I don't care. Blind Mag is making her peace with whatever powers that be. Luigi and Pavi are bitching at each other about who's going to inherit Jinko. Amber is hunting down the grave robber, who is sitting on a dumpster. The grave robber sees her coming and just throws himself into the dumpster. Literally, he takes a look and just like, no, bitch, I'm out.
No, leave me alone. He actually just is like, no, leave me alone, go away.
You just took my last dose. What do you want from me? Fine, take it and leave me alone. Go away. Shoo. Be gone, thought. And Roddy's going on about how nobody's actually going to inherit, nobody's worthy enough to inherit this shit. And right at the end of it, one of my favorite lines in the entire movie is actually from Grave Robber, where he's looking at the magazine and he's just like, bloodbath, there's gonna be a bloodbath at the opera. Stay tuned. Who will inherit Jinko? That whole bit there, like, the way that the Grave Robber is the narrator is my favorite part of all of this. So, they get to the opera. There's this whole thing where, words are a thing. They have the whole entry scene where the Largo family shows up on stage. Roddy shows up as the savior. And
sets up for the Devil's Carnival, just saying.
Just saying, yeah. We'll get to that here in a minute, though. So, as they're sitting there doing their thing, Shiloh finds a video clip of you're being stalked by this Repo man. Nobody knows who he is, but he's gone rogue and he's obsessed with you. If you want your cure, you have to defeat him because he will get in the way. Hello, World of Warcraft quest. Just saying.
This cat has a quest.
I'm fine. Anyway. So, Nathan fights his way through, he's sneaking through. Mose, could you stop that?
Hey!
It's being picked up on the mic.
Mose.
So, Nathan's sneaking through. He thinks he's gotten there before her. He's getting ready to set up, and all of a sudden, shovel to the back of the head.
Where are the thumbtacks? They're right there.
Yeah, they're right there. Are you gonna tack it down?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you
And
continue? His
his helmet falls off, and surprise, this Repo man that's been obsessed with her and is hunting her down is her father.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, da, da. They have a moment, and basically, you've lied to me my entire life. I didn't have a choice. You lied to me. I had to protect you. And she actually says, Dad, I hate you, go and die. After realizing all the people he's killed and all the people he's hurt. And he has this moment where he's starting to realize, okay, I can't protect my daughter if I'm Nathan Wallace. But I can kill everybody if I'm the Repo Man. And he actually, his song is actually called Let the Monster Rise. We can take care of that here in a minute. Okay. As long as it's done today, it doesn't matter. Plus, it'll be a mess. Trust me. So, he actually has this full-blown moment of, let the father die, let the monster rise. Starts killing people left and right, no longer cares. You get some death, and you get some death, and you get some death. He becomes the Oprah of death. You know what I mean by that.
Yep.
And we get to the stage. Rewind here a second, because that was all happening backstage. This actually happened at the same time as that scene. Blind Mag has her final moment. She has her final performance. Rips out her eyes and plummets to her death because Roddy decides, you know what? No. Cuts the rope. You know how she felt about her last performance?
She's on the fence about it.
I'm sorry, that was terrible. I apologize.
I hate you, Matt. I hate Matt. He's the one who told me that.
Of course he is. Are you surprised?
No.
Let's never, ever let Tony and Matt in the same room alone without supervision.
Not alone. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, Shiloh runs on stage, sees Blind Mag, sees blood everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
Nathan shows up, sees this. Shiloh arrived after Nathan. My bad. She thinks that her dad killed her.
Even though the look of shock on his face is just as bad.
Yeah, but he also had a mental break, so he's not all there anymore.
He's not sure if he did or not.
He actually has, you can tell in his eyes, it's not said, but there's a brief moment of, wait a minute. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, he goes to go take out Roddy, because, how dare you? And Luigi pulls out a fucking cattle prod, not a taser, a cattle prod, and gets him in the back of the knee. I can speak from experience on that. Those fuckers hurt. Rodeo shenanigans at 3 a.m, don't ask.
Wasn't gonna.
All I have to say is Fireball was involved.
That's all you have to say.
So, Roddy, curtain opens. Roddy's just like, even though I'm terminally ill, and everybody's just like, wait, you're dying? Even his kids didn't know. Like, his kids never thought to ask how he was doing.
No, they didn't care.
What a bunch of shitheads.
They didn't really care.
I'm sorry, if those were my kids, I would have kicked them out of the street and been like, nah, bitch, get the fuck out.
Have fun.
Go make a living. Go hustle Zydrate or something. Amber, you already know how to make a living. Go do your thing. Am I wrong?
No. You saw the way she was with
the grave robber? Yeah, no. No, bitch, I'm out. That is the biggest fucking mood.
Just the I live amongst the trash.
I'd rather be trashed than be with her. So, he goes on to say that, I am dying, but I have the will that says who can inherit Jinko. And in the place where it says who's going to inherit it, it says Shiloh Wallace. And he basically says, if you kill your dad, I'll give you the company because your dad poisoned you. Your dad killed your mother and he's killing you. This medication is actually poison. And he hands her, mind you, she is tiny.
She's my
Shiloh
size.
is small. He hands her a Desert Eagle.
She's
I recognize
my size.
the make and model of it. It's a fancified, basically pimpified Desert Eagle. All pretty, shiny, chrome, the whole nine. And he's basically just like, kill him.
Do it.
And the kids are, they're in the audience eating popcorn, and he's just like, do it, and I'll give you Jinko. Wait, what? And he basically pulls my kids are pieces of shit. At least you can make this company something.
Yep.
Plus, you'll be done with your dad who poisoned you. And she has a whole moral dilemma. Lights go out, Roddy steals the gun and shoots her dad. Because, bitch, if I'm dying, so are you. I'm taking you with me. Mm-hmm. Say hi to the devil when you see him. We'll get to that in a minute. So, Roddy dies on stage. The will is unsigned. Completely just left in the blood, gets all soaked, the whole nine. And Nathan and Shiloh have this beautiful moment where she's...
I cried.
I did the first... I still cry every time I see that part. So there's the entire scene, that entire piece where she pulls her out of the wheelchair and tries to help him is actually called genetic emancipation. And I hate how well that title fits for how that went down. Because it just makes it hurt even more. And he basically says, I'm so sorry, I did wrong by you, I didn't want to go out there and make something of yourself, I'm trash, I'm gonna go see your mom now. And she walks out, covered in blood, mind you. She fainted in the puddle of Blind Mag's blood, is soaked in blood and fake snow and trauma. And she just kind of walks outside like, sup, I want to go home.
Yeah. Do you blame her?
No, I don't.
She needs a shower and she just needs to lay down.
Mm-hmm. And we turn to the grave robber, who's just like, he does the epilogue. And my favorite part of the epilogue is and the little girl fled and the king is dead and the castle is left for the taking. And Amber Sweet ends up running the company because Luigi and Pavi, let's face it, out of the three of them, those two are the least likely to actually be able to run the company. As much as I hate to say it, Amber's actually the best choice.
She's the most responsible, at least.
And
she's gonna make something of it, at least.
Her face fell off during the operas, and which Pavi bought her face at auction. He actually bought his sister's face and wears it with pride. And all the money made from the auction went to charity to help Zydrate addicts. Amber actually canonically got clean. It took a lot, but she got clean. And thus ends Repo the Genetic Opera.
Next.
But there was a deleted scene that never actually got filmed. It was actually taken out of the script before it was filmed, saying what happened to Shiloh after she left the opera. So, everybody knows that grave robbers are bad. They're illegal. They recorded the song for it. There's a song called A Needle into a Bug that's in the end credits that they never filmed the scene for because
I listened to it very carefully.
It actually, when Shiloh left the theater, she didn't go home, she found the grave robber, who was stuck in a trap that was set to catch grave robbers. And he taught her how to harvest Zydrate, and she became an addict/dealer. But, because the movie was already tragic, they were just like, you know what? She's gonna go home and just have a good life.
She's just gonna go home.
She's just gonna go home. But in the original cut, she became an addict/dealer. She became a grave robber. And if you listen to A Needle in a Bug, he actually teaches her, while stuck in this trap, because she hasn't taken him down yet, he teaches her how to harvest Zydrate, and how to inject it and everything. Like, there's one line where you gotta smack it, it's like a nightlight. That made me sit there going, oh fuck. Shiloh, no. But yeah, so that's Repo. And before we go to the next one, quick word from our sponsors, because I need to sell out, apparently.
It's time to sell out.
So, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, I talk about him every week in our podcast. Go check out MrWoo'sEquippables.com. He is an amazing guy. He does some incredible shirt designs, and I'm actually finishing up some new designs for him pretty soon here. We're going to be releasing a whole bunch of new stuff pretty soon. Like, keep an eye out for new tote bags, shirts, the whole nine. He does everything himself except for the designs. I make the designs for him. He does the screen printing. He does his own beadwork. He does these super awesome, nerdy, Native American style beadworks that are incredible. He is local. He's based out of, I believe, Laguna. But he has a website. Again, that's MrWoo'sEquippables.com. The link will be in the YouTube description. It is also, I believe, in the description of our Twitch. If not, I will be posting it up later. Go check it out. Another one I want to plug is a very dear friend of mine. She has been working very hard to get stuff done. Her name is Tholfbutt. She is the owner, manager. She runs Tholfbutt Artworks. She does super awesome digital art. She does really cool decals. She has a really awesome setup going, and she's actually working on expanding her horizons pretty soon here. So if you're looking for some cool decals or something, please, please, please go check out Tholfbutt Artworks. There was one other I wanted to plug, and I forgot who it was. Oh, right, Twisted. Twisted Sketch. They are based off of Twitter. They do super awesome custom... Twitter and Patreon, thank you. They do super awesome digital work. They actually do wood-burned fursona tags. My wife got us each one of two of our characters, and they are amazing. They're up on our personal Twitters. I'll probably end up sharing a picture to the Coffee and the Fandoms and Coffee Twitter. Forgot our own name for a second. Jesus Christ. I'll be posting a picture up of our tags that were made for us on the Fandoms and Coffee Twitter so that you guys can see just how awesome her work is. And on top of that, I believe she just got her stuff she got another Kickstarter funded, right?
One of the pins was just unfunded.
Oh.
unfortunately. One of the extra pins was just unfunded because of things not going right. And there's only about 2 days left in that Kickstarter.
So go look it up. It's Twisted, spelled like it sounds right.
Twisted, yes.
Just spelled like the actual word, no Z or anything.
Yeah, no, Z.
Twisted Sketch on Twitter. Go check her out.
Like, ask _Twisted on Twitter.
Ask_Twisted.
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, go check it out. Please go consider supporting her Kickstarter. She's making some super awesome,
just everything. She does a little bit of everything.
Jack of all trades, master of none. I do want to give a quick shout out though to a couple of our devoted followers who have tuned in almost every week. She's fine.
No, she stretched me.
Oh. A couple of our viewers who have tuned in every week so far, one of which being, if you guys are in the Ruby fandom on Twitter, you know him, you hate him, you love him, you something. You're indifferent. If you're us, he is known as Uncle Tony. We want to thank Sumo Snipe for tuning in almost every week and promoting us to all of his friends. It means a lot. And then another one that I wanted to give a shout out to, I don't believe he's here this time, but Justin Hickson, who has tuned in to almost every single stream. Pretty soon here, we're going to do a giveaway for our 10th episode. We're going to be having some stickers done in the next week or so. I'm actually doing those myself because I've got all the time in the world right now. My hours got cut again. And we'll be giving away a sticker set to a lucky viewer. But the two people that we just shouted out, they're going to get a complimentary sticker set. Whatever you want to do with them, whatever,
Private message us.
We know where to find Sumo Snipe, but we'll message Justin himself. But if you guys want a chance to win a custom sticker set, then please tune in on our 10th episode. We'll be posting the details later on. And with that, let's get back to the show.
Alright, so, what's after Repo?
Well, after Repo, they weren't sure they were going to be able to do anything else, because there was a huge falling out with the studio. There was a whole mess. There was some legal stuff. But Terrance teamed up with an old friend of his by the name of Saar Hendleman.
Also helped write Repo.
He wrote part of it, but it was more of a guest writing thing. It wasn't really his project.
He also did the comic.
He did do the comic, yes. I was referring to the music part.
Yeah, no.
But they teamed up and they produced a phenomenal movie called The Devil's Carnival. Now, it still had that same nitty-gritty style that Repo had. Like, it still had that super dark, but also strangely vivid theme going on. And The Devil's Carnival, it's an interesting take on the idea of heaven and hell and everything. The fun thing about Devil's Carnival is, first of all, Terrance plays Satan. He plays Lucifer. And
he plays the devil himself.
Oh my god, is he gorgeous as the devil.
Child, what did you do?
She's knocking stuff over again. So, the first movie follows the story of three sinners as they wake up after these strange incidents in a carnival with these tickets that say, come on in. And each character represents one of Aesop's fables. So, the very first one we follow is Merrywood, who is the representation of the dog and her reflection. Which, if you guys don't know the dog and her reflection, it's a story about a dog who stole a bunch of pennies and saw her reflection in the water and died trying to steal those pennies that she saw in the reflection. Merrywood was a very, very successful thief while she was alive. And she died.
Not even spoiler alerts. All these people are dead.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to be to go to hell.
Unless you live in New Mexico, am I right?
Hey. We don't go to Espanola, though. Hey, I'll say it. I don't like Espanola, I'm sorry. But yeah, so she died in a police shootout. She got riddled with bullets, woke up, saw a box of jewels that said, take only what you need, so she took all of it. She sneaks in with a character named John, sneaks in. They each have a ticket. And they're told the rules of the carnival, and she's just like...
666.
Yep, there are 666 rules that you must follow. 66 rules that you must heed. Sorry, I love that song. It's catchy.
We should listen to it when we're doing our errands.
We should. We'll just put the soundtrack on when we're running errands. So, he tells her about this giant diamond that you can win if you play a game of chance. And she goes off to find it. Gets chased around by the enforcer, basically. He's a man who walks around with a bullwhip. And she broke a rule. I don't remember which one it was she broke, but she broke one of the rules. And she runs into this tent to go hide. There's a man there who has a very green, scaly face by the name of the Twin. Fun fact, he's played by Pavi from Repo the Jedi Opera. He's played by Ogre. And she sees the diamond, steals his flask. He offers her a bit of his flask to give her a drink. He's basically playing the oh, you poor thing, come in, sit for a spell, take a drink, take a load off. She steals his flask and his scarf, and then he basically, he actually transforms into her. Each of these people have their own special ability.
The members of the carnival.
Yeah. And the Twin has the ability to turn into your inner darkest self.
It's fascinating.
It is. And she's so obsessed with this diamond and her greed that she doesn't know what this person looks like anymore. And she has to play a game of chance to try and win this diamond. But, as most people know, carnival games are rigged. She fails out, and the ending line to that whole bit is Shadow takes all. Which is a reference to the fact that most people who have gambling problems, they blame the devil for doing it, but when the devil actually does it, the devil takes everything. Sorry, cat. Have to stop the cat from hurting herself. The cat just got fixed, so she's under high supervision. So anyway.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah. So she ends up strapped down, being flogged by the enforcer.
You don't see that until later, though.
No, you see that after the bit with the Twin.
Oh, right.
Each of them sees their punishment after their number. And the person singing about her is, he's known as the Hobo Clown. He's actually the lead singer of Five Finger Death Punch. When I found out, I freaked out because I was just like, why do I know that voice? And then 5 minutes later, I was listening to, what was I listening to? Bad Company. I was just like, there's no way. And lo and behold, it's the lead singer for Five Finger Death Punch. Because apparently he and Terrance are very good friends.
I want to be very good friends with people.
I want to be good friends with Terrance. I mean, what? Sorry.
To be fair, he knows a lot of people.
Yeah, so that's the first one. And then John is seen wandering around. John he's a sinner, but in a very controversial way. He and his wife were having some problems after their son got hit by a car. And he let his depression and his alcoholism get the better of him, and he unfortunately did commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
I hate to say
in Catholicism, is a sin.
It is.
I hate to put it this way, but this is how I see it. Being depressed is a sin.
Yeah, kinda.
And so, the running thing with him is, don't you know that cutting is against the rules? And he thinks he's cutting in line. He wanders into this empty tent, and there's a kissing booth that's just kind of off in the corner. But all of a sudden, these girls, led by Alexa Vega as a wonderful BDSM clown named Wick, who starts screaming, "Kiss the girl" at him, having this all-on, acid trip style number.
It's very well done.
After they have their number, they vanish, and there's Emily Autumn as the painted doll sitting at the kissing booth, just like, come here, come here, come here. And he's just like, I'm just trying to find my kid. I just want to find my son and go home, because he forgot what happened. He genuinely forgot what has gone down.
I hate to say it this way, but not even hate to say it. It's like it's actually a thing with psychology, is that when you go through an immense amount of trauma, like after something like that, you lose touch with reality in general.
Yeah, and it can manifest in numbers of ways. Delirium, delusions. In his case, it was trauma-induced amnesia.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, it's not actually uncommon.
Yeah.
So him not knowing, like, what's going on, where he is, and that his son is dead?
Mm-hmm.
Or that he is dead?
Yeah, because he's at a carnival. Why would he be dead?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's obviously carnies and people in costumes, so why...
He brought his son there.
Yeah. He's under the impression that he and his son ended up there. And he's wandering around, so he goes up to the kissing booth, and she's just... She doesn't say anything, but she basically implies that if you give me a kiss, I'll tell you where her son is. And instead of a kiss, I'm going to take off your ear. Your ear is mine now. And it's very obviously fake. It looks like one of those stupid Halloween gummy ears.
It's great.
And he freaks out. She's gone. And his ear is back.
Speaking of, this is also very star-studded.
It is. This, much like the first one, this is star-studded. Because John is played... Okay, just some quick reference here. My wife and I both love Boondock Saints. It is one of our favorite movies of all time.
We need to watch it again soon. It's on Amazon.
We need to watch it. We actually met his actor at...
Sean Patrick Flannery.
At Albuquerque Comic-Con. And this is before we were married. This is when we were still engaged to each other. You're being picked up by the mic, hun.
That's fine. Sorry.
We really need better soundproofing. If you guys want to sponsor us, please get us soundproofing. Anyway, he's played by Sean Patrick Flannery, who plays one of the McManus brothers from Boondock Saints, and he flirted with my fiance, full on wink the whole nine.
I almost fell over.
I had to catch her. It was great, and he just kind of looked at me like, "Hey." I was just like, let's go get coffee. Brenda needs coffee. Let's get coffee.
Yeah, that's actually the what we pulled. It's like our friend has a booth.
We need to go get her coffee. We're being booth bunnies.
We really were being booth bunnies that year, but you know what? It was fun.
It was. Anyway.
I don't mind being a booth bunny.
So, Sean Patrick Flannery has an incredible singing voice, by the way.
He does.
And he is so good at the emotional, like, his performances tear at your heartstrings.
It's very well done.
Fun fact, do you remember a movie from the 90s called Powder with Jeff Goldblum?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's about an albino kid who can control electricity.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
If you ever have the chance, Sean Patrick Flannery plays the albino kid. And he did a phenomenal job.
Of course he does.
So, Emily Autumn is pulling the, you know, oh, teehee, I'm so clever, and then she vanishes.
We get to know more about her later.
Mm-hmm. And we switch over to Tamara, who woke up in a hay bale next to a guy who's in a cage, who looks like your stereotypical 50s greaser.
Just over the top with it, though.
Like, they actually made him look like a plastic doll representation.
Very well done.
Yeah, like his hair, I actually found out his hair was actually cast in a plastic-style resin. That's how they got that full-on shiny look.
That was perfect every shot.
And they also did, they did silicone prosthetics to make his cheekbones sharper. And he's known as the Scorpion, because Tamara's story is the Scorpion and the Frog. The frog that trusted the Scorpion too much and got hurt in the end.
That's a very common story, actually.
It is. It's a common theme, because it makes such a good story. So, with Tamara, when she was alive, she was with an abusive boyfriend that she trusted over and over and over again, and he finally shot her.
It calls that out.
It does, and, like, they actually bring up the aspect of, oh, well, you don't trust me? Why don't you trust me? I give you no reason not to trust me. If you don't trust me, that's your problem. And I hate to say it, but they basically, they point out the fact that she was gaslit before she died. But that's one of the reasons I love The Devil's Carnival, is that it doesn't shy away from these subjects, and it tackles them the way it should.
It calls them out in such a way that it's like, it's not deniable.
No,
that's
and
what they were doing.
It's not glorifying it, it's actually condemning it.
Yep.
No pun intended. So, he basically talks her into being his wheel gal, because he's a knife thrower. And you need to have somebody on the wheel to throw knives at.
It's a carnival thing.
So he basically says, I'll be back in a second, and disappears. She eventually goes to follow him and finds him getting it on with the painted doll. Like, we're pretty sure it's like one step away from, clothes coming off. It's getting heated. And she's just like, oh, I see. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have bugged you and your girlfriend. I'm so sorry. I got my hopes up. And he turns around and pulls well, why don't you trust me? You should trust me. How dare you don't trust me? And he's like, well, tell you what. We'll put you on the wheel. And I'll throw knives at you. That's how you can trust me. Because I never miss a shot. And she, like an idiot, agrees. Climbs up on the wheel, gets 3 knives thrown, and there's one line at the end of that song. I'm not gonna do the whole song because you need to listen to it for yourself. It is a audio masterpiece.
Let me just say the title of the song. It is Prick Goes the Scorpion's Tail.
That's the follow-up song.
No, that's during that one.
No, it's not. That's Emily Autumn's song.
But it's while she's on the wheel.
No,
I just rewatched the video.
Hun, the wheel was, I forgot the name of the song, but it's not that one. Because Prick Goes the Scorpion...
Oh, it is actually The Scorpion the Frog.
Yeah. Because Prick Goes the Scorpion's Tail is the epilogue to that story. So, there's one line where it's like, one for your tummy, one for your cheek, and one for the devil inside of me. And he, knife at the side, knife between the legs, and then knife in the stomach. Because she trusted. She trusted too much. And...
No. I'm actually scared to grab her.
But yeah, so she trusted the scorpion.
Yeah. Sorry, this one is a little spastic.
Again, we're trying to deal with a cat who just had surgery.
And who is feeling better today, but cannot be feeling better yet.
So, the scorpion kills her off, as does everybody in this carny. Their whole thing is
quote unquote.
The whole thing with this carny and with this carnival is that you have to die over and over until you learned your lesson. So the whole thing is that they have to relive their sins over and over again.
Hers was trusting too much.
And, well, it was trusting too much, and on top of that, she actually ended up killing somebody for her boyfriend because he asked her to. That's her whole thing, is she committed murder because she was trusting. And he basically said that, if you trust me and do this, then we can be together forever. But murder is still a sin. And then we go to Emily Autumn's number, which is Prick Goes the Scorpion's Tail, where she's telling this story about how, you fell in love, you foolish child. You shouldn't fall in love because it hurts. And you'll end up doing stuff that you don't want to do, but you'll do it anyway because you love them, right? So, that goes down.
The way that this whole thing is done very well.
It's very interestingly written, too. So, they have their moment, and then the devil has this moment because he's reading these stories out loud.
I love Aesop's Fables.
I do, too. And we move on to John, whose story is called The Devil and His Due. And unlike the other ones, he doesn't have a carny assigned to him. He doesn't have somebody to show him what he did wrong. Instead, he's wandering through the carnival singing his song, which is actually labeled Grief, and it's a beautifully haunting melody. It's so beautiful, but it's such a haunting song.
It is.
And
I might double them up.
he eventually finds his way into the devil's dressing room, basically.
His tent.
His tent. And he sees what he thinks is his son holding a red balloon. Well, turns out that his quote-unquote son was actually one of the carnies disguised as his boy. And it leads to him telling the devil, how dare you take my son from me, you monster, you can't do this.
One of my favorite lines from this whole thing is what comes next.
And he basically says, I'm not in the business of harming children. That's God's domain. Because if you think about it, no matter how many times
Something
a
like
child
that.
dies, it's never, oh, curse the devil for doing this. It's always, well, God had a plan.
They call that out.
Uh-huh.
It's beautifully done.
And he basically says, you know what? You've committed no crime. You've done nothing to warrant actual punishment. I'm going to send you back to heaven. Flash to God, who is played by Paul Sorvino. There's the tie into Repo. And he's building these dolls, these people. He's building these things to do his bidding and everything. And surprise, he sees John rising out of one of his bins. And he's like, you're not supposed to be here. You're never supposed to be here. I didn't allow you up here. And the ticket taker, the one who, tells you to follow the rules, is like, but sire, the rules. And Lucifer just smiles and goes, the rules are changing, my friend. We're attacking heaven. And he declares war on heaven.
That goes, and
That leads into Devil's Carnival 2, Alleluia. Which, Alleluia is a very interesting take. Because, yes, there is the whole
we just
hell
saw
is a carnival.
Hell.
Well, Devil's Carnival Alleluia, it starts off with, hell's kind of in shambles right now. Because Lucifer is planning this full-on war. And everything's going crazy. This hooded figure walks into Lucifer's thing, and he's just like, it's time for a tale. This hooded figure sits down, and he starts telling the story of this filly. I don't remember the actual name of the tale. I think it's the filly and the dog.
The filly and the lapdog?
Something like that. And it's about this woman who's in heaven.
But we don't know it's heaven yet.
No, we know it's heaven.
Oh, right.
Because it's the Heavenly Express. And this woman is literally trying to become one of the top tier angels. She's also played by Emily Autumn. Ha ha ha. Wonder who that floated figure is. And the train itself is actually carrying damned souls. The train itself carries damned souls back up to heaven, and one of those damned souls is Miss Merrywood, the thief from the first movie. And it's this beautiful piece called Shovel and Bone, where, God, I wish I could be Miss Merrywood. Because the devil, is holding her and, getting all up in her business and everything, and just, oh my God, he's pretty.
It's Terrance.
It is. It's easier if I do this, because then she won't climb on everything.
Yeah, baby. How's it look?
It's healing. She's fine. So, this woman, I don't remember her name. I actually have to look it up. June. Her name before she was made to doll was June. And there are a couple of applicants who want to become basically heaven's fetchers and such. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
They want to be the good girls of heaven. And they show up. They are welcomed for the June, they're welcomed to the tour, and there is a number called Everybody's Doing the Ark. Terrance and Saar have a wonderful sense of humor, by the way, because if anybody is a musical theater fan, then you know of the original Jesus Christ Superstar, where Ted Neely played Jesus and had an amazing range with that high G during Gethsemane.
Uh-huh.
He plays the leader, the bandstand. Literally, they have the original Jesus playing in a movie called The Devil's Carnival, where he's a bandstand leader for the Heavenly Waves, the radio station. And he still has a fucking amazing range.
Oh, yeah.
And So they're being led through this tour. They do the arc, which is this really, really bad 1950s style.
It's more like 1930s.
Okay, yeah, you're right. 1930s style dance. You know, the ones where they're just like, basically it's like the hokey pokey, except it's heaven.
Yeah, because, like 2030s. It reminded me a lot of World War II.
It had a lot of like the World War II, the Bioshock kind of feel to it.
Yeah, Heaven actually made me think of Bioshock. That'll be an episode for another day.
Yeah, no, Bioshock is a whole other day. So, they do the arc, then they get greeted by the designer, who is played by David Hasselhoff, of all people. The original 1980s hunk.
When I saw him, I was like, what the fuck?
My first thought was, what's Knight Rider doing here?
Yep.
Was that David Hasselhoff?
I'll look it up.
Well, either way, it was kind of one of those cases of, what is that fucker doing here? And he's the clothing designer. He's the designer for Heaven. He designs everyone's garb, everybody's banners, whatever they need. And if it doesn't pass his expectations, he will step in and deal with it until it does. He has no problem being that bitch. And...
yeah, he's Knight Rider.
Okay, yeah, I was right. And then June actually steals an armband. Because she's supposed to have, she's a trainee. She's not a level anything yet. She steals a number 1 armband. And then they sneak off. Her and Cora, her friend. They sneak off to go explore. And they're met by the dictators. Or not the dictators, what were they called? Translators, my bad. Who are played by the lead singer from Mindless Self-Indulgence and his wife.
That was his wife?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, because they wanted to have 2 of them, and he was just like, well, my wife's got a good voice, too. And they were just like, fuck it, let's do it.
I feel like Terrance is one of those people that's just like, fuck it, let's do it.
June and Cora play we got lost, we got separated from our group, we just want to go back to our group, and the translators are sitting here, well, you have to confess everything, blah, blah, this is heaven, you have to confess everything you do is wrong, you are breathing, you must be punished. That's how that goes down, basically. And then, before anything can happen, Adam Pascal, known as the Agent, shows up.
He's pretty too.
I loved him in Rent. He did such a phenomenal job as Roger.
He really did.
And the Agent and June start kind of falling in love with each other. But the Agent wasn't programmed for love, so he goes to God, Paul Sorvino. Paul Sorvino's like, I didn't program you for this. I programmed you to be loyal and obedient. And then he thinks, and he's like, well, on the other hand, this chick might be trouble. Why don't you go ahead and woo her? Do all the wooing and see what she wants.
Do the thing of the courting.
And he also uses it as a test of the Agent's faith as well. So, the lovely ladies, June and Cora, go back to their group, and they end up in the library. Where Tech 9 is the heavenly librarian, Mettaton. I don't know why I was thinking of Undertale.
I was talking about it the other day.
Fair. He basically does if you do what you're told, and you only read the books that you're allowed to.
Always buy the book.
Always buy the book. And June makes a mistake of asking, what's that over there, pointing to the restricted section. There's a giant book with an apple on the front.
Nice symbolism there, Terrance.
Yeah, I think that was actually Saar's handiwork.
Probably.
So, that goes on. They go through the tour. They meet all these different people. And eventually, the Agent's just like, hey, June, you want to go out sometime? You want to go? Let's go get some drinks. And by drinks, it's water, tea, milk, juice. There's no alcohol in heaven.
They're no fun.
There's no alcohol. As far as I know, there's no tobacco.
No.
No weed, no nothing. Heaven is boring.
It's pretty boring.
Because you have to follow the rules. And so they go to the bar.
You thought hell had a lot of rules?
Oh, I'll take their rules, because at least there I can smoke. Jesus. No pun intended.
Smoking section, non-smoking section.
Pretty much. So, they go to the bar, and they get their photo snapped by a man known as the Watchword. He is the radio broadcaster. He is the news... He is the one and only news source in heaven. Fun fact, if any of you guys are Rocky Horror Picture Show fans, the Watchword is played by Brad. And he does a really good job going from playing a square to playing a, I'm going to snoop in all of your stuff. And he has some of the best facial expressions in the movie. Like, his facial expressions, he doesn't have a lot of lines, but his expressions speak millions of words. There's one point my wife started dying because he raised an eyebrow and his entire face shifted like Play-Doh, and my wife could not stop cackling. It was great. And so they go off. God shows up at the bar. Everybody has a good time. And Cora actually slips off to be alone. The Watchword finds her and basically says that, you know, I know you're a lesbian, but if you let this get out, I'll totally throw it in the newspapers and you'll be gone. Because being gay in heaven is against the law. Having fun in heaven is against the law. Doing anything in heaven that may or may not be by the book is against the law. So the agent and June start courting each other for a little bit, and then one day they go into the library. And
He gave her a gift first of all.
Oh right, he did. He gave her a silver horseshoe to bring her good luck. And she wore it with pride. You know, she loved that thing. Mm-hmm. But they go to the library. She steals his keys.
Yeah, she steals his keys.
And decides to go check out the forbidden section of the library. Well, fun fact, that book was the book of life and death. It was the forbidden knowledge that got Adam and Eve kicked out.
That book with the apple?
Yep. But as soon as she opens the book, you know, the security system goes off, the translators show up with the librarian, and everybody else in tow, so that everybody can see her nightmare. The Watchword puts it in the newspaper, puts it on the radio station, the whole nine, and the translators beat her within an inch of her life and throw her in the elevator to hell. And it turns into this whole, well, she had it coming. Tech Nine, the librarian, does an entire piece on...
By the book, again.
It's always hitting on all sevens. And it's literally a case of know your place. If you don't know your place, you don't belong here. You belong in hell. Do it by the book or don't. And so... poor June is wandering around hell, lost, afraid, scared, traumatized.
Battered and bloody.
Her face is bloody all to hell. She's got bruises. She's not in a good way.
No, she's not. Poor thing.
She comes across the twin, who they have a moment where he basically does the whole twin thing of reading her mind, finding out what happened by just looking at her. They have a moment, and then she meets Lucifer. And Lucifer's just like, I see. So God cast aside another questioning faithful, huh? Welcomes her into the carnival after she has some soul-seeking. She washes up, and her face now has these permanent cracks in it, like a porcelain doll would if you dropped it and glued it back together.
I've done that.
I hate porcelain dolls. They terrify me. But all this shit goes down. And fast forward to telling the story in the Devil's Tent. Remove the hood, and there's June. I forgot her name. I was going to say Jenna for a second. No, it wasn't right.
The painted doll.
The painted doll, also known as June. Well, God decides, you know what? If we're going to go to war, I want to know what's going on. Hey, agent, go downstairs and go talk to the devil for me. I don't want to go down there. It's dirty. I don't get my shoes dirty.
Ew.
Agent shows up, and who's there to greet him but a carny who takes him to see his ex-girlfriend, who sings this incredible piece called Hoof and Lap about how, you know, he wants so bad to please his master. He wants so bad to be the good dog that, you know, he doesn't account for anything else around him, which is not untrue. And he starts preaching Hallelujah, trying to save what little sense of self he has at that point. Because A, he's in hell, so he's powerless. B, they kind of force-fed him a few drinks. A few. And knowing those carnies, it was not just beer. Get that strong shit in your body, boy. Put some hair on your chest.
Yep.
And they start arming the carnies. Guns, swords, weapons, everything. And back upstairs, God is having a sermon about how dare those people down below want equality? How dare they want to live a good life? What we're going to do is we're going to go to war and we're going to show them who's boss.
That sounds familiar.
And cut to credits.
Part 3 when?
So, about part 3, we're probably never going to get it.
Probably not.
There was a falling out with the studios, I believe, and Terrance and Saar. Something happened, I'm not sure what, but unfortunately there's a very, very good chance that we will never see a Devil's Carnival 3. And it breaks my heart because they left it wide open to tie everything up, to make everything come together, and the entire cast said they would come back. But the problem is that without the studio, where's the funding, where's this, where's that? Plus, they fell out with one of the writers when the studio happened. Mm-hmm. So, as much as I love the Devil's Carnival, and I would love to see a third part, it's a very good chance we're not going to get it. And it breaks my heart because this was their baby. Mm-hmm. Repo was awesome. But there's again, they had the falling out, and there's a very, very slim chance that it'll actually happen. Like, there's been talks. Because I know that they have the script completed. I know they already have the script written out. But I don't know if they will actually film it. Which, it truly hurts, because Devil's Carnival is a amazing masterpiece. As much as it's a fun, carefree, gothic style musical, it's actually very thought-provoking.
It really is.
Like, it actually makes you think. But I actually, a couple of years ago, there was actually a concert here for Terrance and Saar. They have moved on from Devil's Carnival. At the moment, there is a chance it could come back. The script is written. They're just waiting on stuff on their end. I don't know what. I don't do the whole production thing, so I don't know what's involved. But they started a new project called American Murder Song, and it's been going on for a few years. It's a shampoo bottle.
I know, but that startled me.
Sorry, Kat's knocked something over in the bathroom, which is on the wall right next to us. But they started a new project called American Murder Song, which is, each album is an anthology to historical American serial murders. The very first one dealt with Pretty Lavinia and the Old West. If you guys don't know, Pretty Lavinia was the owner and proprietor of the 5 Mile Inn, where men were lured and killed if they were found to be unfaithful or stuff like that. And, like, they have an album that is all about the Donner Party and such. Like, if you guys want more Devil's Carnival style stuff, I highly recommend looking up American Murder Song. But, no, they had a concert here that I got VIP ticket to, thanks to a very dear friend of mine, Lori, who we actually bonded over Repo when we met. And, mind you, I just had knee surgery, so I was in a wheelchair. I was not doing well. And the first thing they said when they saw me, because it was the Donner Party concert, was, "Oh, look, it's a meal on wheels." And so part of the VIP ticket was being able to actually have a small Q&A with them while they were signing your stuff and talking to you and all this fun stuff. And I actually got to ask them, you know, if you guys could, would you go back to Devil's Carnival? Would you do the third one? And Terrance said, hands down, Devil's Carnival was his favorite project aside from American Murder Song, and he would come back in a heartbeat. But both him and Saar just said that it's not in the cards. Which doesn't mean that it may not be in the next hand dealt.
It's just not there right now.
Because everybody knows it takes about 6 rounds of poker to get to the end. But that being said, the cast is phenomenal.
The production value is fantastic.
For being a quote-unquote low budget, I use quotes because it was on the higher end of low budget. It was phenomenally done. The cast was amazing.
This goes for Repo as well.
Oh yeah, no, for all of Terrance's work, Terrance and Saar's works, everything was so beautifully done. And even though the Devil's Carnival movies are the shorter movies, they're like an hour to an hour and a half at most. Like, there's so much storytelling and so much in-depth, like, it's almost immersive whenever you're watching it. And honestly, I might end up rewatching those later today now that I'm thinking about it.
Same. I mean, tomorrow's Halloween.
It is Halloween tomorrow, which, Halloween brunch. What are we going to wear to the bar tomorrow?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, looks like we have to take a trip to Spirit. Oh no, how awful. I actually do need to go to Spirit to pick up a couple of things.
Yeah, we have a lot to do today.
But that being said, if you guys haven't had the chance, Repo and both Devil's Carnivals are available on Amazon Prime for free. Or you can, buy the DVD, whatever. If you have the chance, I highly recommend watching it. It's a life-changing experience.
Especially if you like stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, I love it because both of the series are ones that make you think. They actually are very thought-provoking, and it just kind of makes you sit there and go, what if? And I mean, with this pandemic, I could see Repo happening in like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Just saying. But that being said, do you have anything you want to say in closing, honey?
Not really.
How about that wick, huh?
Okay, first of all, we're not going there. I actually have an outfit that I'm basing around her.
I'm currently trying to do a cosplay that's like the perfect mashup of the Scorpion and the Hobo Clown, because the Hobo Clown is the one who was played by the lead singer of Five Finger Death Punch, and he's one of my all-time favorite singers. So, like, I want to do a mix of him and Scorpion, but we're just going to kind of see what happens. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We do apologize for the random cat shenanigans. Hopefully next week it won't be as bad.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to have her in here, because her brother is also having surgery.
Yeah, so it's more of we have to keep her secluded because he's not fixed yet, and she has fresh stitches. So, but join us next week. Before I forgot to put this during our advertisements. If you haven't had a chance yet, please check out our Patreon. We have levels for all of English is a thing. Fuck. We have levels for all of our wonderful levels of budget. We have ranging from $3 to $50. You get different perks at each level. The link is in our Twitch description. It's also on our Twitter. Please consider checking us out so we can get some actual soundproofing, because our soundproofing is a moving blanket that's seen much better days. That being said, thank you guys so much, and we will be announcing next week's episode fairly soon here. Please stay awesome, and we'll talk to you guys later. Happy Halloween!